The Lawyer Who Rocks is brought to you by Hughes Media Law Group. You can visit us at hmlglaw.com. Keep up with the podcast on social media at HMLG Law on all major platforms and be sure to follow us there. Thank you for listening and enjoy this episode of The Lawyer Who Rocks. My name is Jolene Winther Hughes. I am a lawyer who rocks.
When it comes to having your back, there ain't nobody better. This you better believe. Jolene,
Welcome to part 2 of my interview with the publishing innovator Rebekah Borucki. Today we'll dive deeper into her business Rowhouse Publishing, how they're shaking up the publishing industry, and of course, what makes Rebekah a badass. Please enjoy. Tell me about starting Rowhouse and what you did. You talked about your CFO mentor, but you had to have other people that helped you, and you have a partner in this.
We have like 500 people that have helped us. Our community members have completely financed this entire endeavor. We've raised $500,000 so far through equity crowdfunding. We are partnered with an incredible startup called Seed at the Table, and it is completely Black and Brown founded and owned. And we went to VCs, venture capitalists in the beginning, and it was one of the most demoralizing experiences of my life. I'm having to explain to people why it's important that marginalized people get paid. Like they just didn't get it. Why don't you give 15% instead of, the industry standard of 10? Then you'd still be winning and you'd still be doing better. And it's like, no, because 40 is what's equitable, because 40 makes sense.
Because the cost of doing everything is not the same as it was.
Artists were getting robbed. In music, it's the same thing. My sister is a music manager and promoters, and she was putting on punk rock shows at 15, and I was driving her to them. My husband's a music photographer, so we're entrenched in that industry. And what people are being paid is not reflective of the value of their work. We can give 40%, and we can even, dive into the more traditional parts of the industry and continue to work with them. Like we have a production team that serves all the major houses. So they're handling all our printing and whatever. And we did a partnership with them because we don't have the relationships or the ability to do that. And we're partnered with Simon & Schuster for sales and distribution because I don't have a relationship with Barnes & Noble or Target and say, hey, put this book up front on the front table. Like I can't do that. So we still have to do a lot of the things in the traditional way. But, again, it really came down to us looking at the numbers and saying there's still room to be more fair.
So it's not quite as lucrative. It's just like almost any sort of entertainment field, right? Only at the top of the pyramid make money, and then you have a bunch of people swimming around the middle layers.
The successful authors or people that are successful coming in are supported in greater success. The people that are coming in, getting a deal, but don't have a big platform, don't have a marketing budget or whatever, are almost set up to fail. So what we've done is offer a $40,000 advance across the board. It's the same for everybody. Everyone gets $40,000 advance. Everyone gets a 40% royalty. The only thing that comes out of the profit structure is the printing and freight costs. Everything else, marketing, we're covering. So it's incredibly beneficial for the author. But again, we're going to be making money. Like, don't feel sorry for us. We're not giving, it's not a charity. Our authors are really getting paid the most. And the $40,000, what that does for someone who is an emerging author who doesn't have a big budget, they're able to hire a marketing team, get a launch package together, which we also help with anyway. We help them build their launch strategy and all of that. They're able to go out on tour. They're able to maybe get a publicist. Like that $40,000 could do a lot for them versus getting, nothing to maybe $10,000 that's paid out in thirds. We also pay in 50% at signing and then 50% on delivery of the manuscript. We don't make our authors wait to get paid. We try to do everything very quickly so they can start up their efforts of promoting the book very quickly. And for larger authors, we have authors that have 1 million followers over their platforms and could go to any publisher and get multiple 6-figure deals, but have chosen to come to us because of the community aspect. All of our authors are writing through the lens of social and racial justice, no matter what they're writing about. It could be business, it could be self-care, but also on the back end, that 40% is like, if they're set up to sell a lot of books, they don't necessarily need that $40,000 advance, but that 40% is in perpetuity. As long as their books are selling, they're going to be making a lot more. So it's just a really exciting model that I feel really blessed to deliver to the world. I didn't know if it was going to work in the beginning, but it's been vetted by the best of the best in the industry. And they're like, yeah, wow, you're really doing something here. So it's exciting.
Well, you have some amazing principles behind Rowhouse and the authors that you bring on board. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? I mean, you touched on it a second ago, but I'd love to delve deeper into that.
So I called Rowhouse for a couple reasons. One thing, it's made of bricks and not hay. So no one's blowing us down. We're here, we're steady. We have a beautiful foundation. I grew up in a row house, which is a very East Coast thing, like a mid-Atlantic East Coast thing. And they're basically houses that are all smushed together in a row. Townhouse would be a fancier name for it, but we didn't grow up in townhouses. These are like 2-story brick houses with 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, 6 people living in the house. And modest homes, modest, humble people, working class, a lot of us living below the poverty line. But it was this really beautiful community of open doors. You never knew where you're going to be eating dinner. Like you go to anybody's house, kids were having sleepovers all over the place. There were 20 kids out in the block all the time playing out front. I had a million friends that felt like cousins. Even my neighbor, Aunt Kathy, we had a tough time growing up, and my parents had a tough time with their own, issues. And we needed extra help. Like they needed extra help to take care of us. So a woman named Kathy, who lived a couple doors down, she was 25 years old, kind of like adopted me as a little niece and my little sister, and took care of us and gave us Christmas and took us on vacations to the Jersey Shore. So I grew up in that environment, and that's what I want my publishing house to feel like, is people coming together in community. And some of us have a lot and some of us have a little, but we all have something to give and share, and wisdom and platforms to help each other out on. So our authors, when they're coming in, there is an understanding that they are here to be in community. It's very important that whatever they're writing about is done through the lens of equity and social justice. We have something called the CRED commitment, CRED, which stands for community, responsibility, equity, and disruption. And those are the pillars, the values that we build our company upon. It's like being part of community, taking responsibility for not only the content that we put out, but how it impacts the community, what our authors are doing, how they're being taken care of. Equity, obviously, I talked about that in our pay model. And then disruption. Like, we're not just here to make money and be an island. We want this to force the hands of other publishers out there who are run by good people, but are stuck in an old model that isn't fair to their authors. So we want people to know about us and not necessarily even sign with us, because like we can't take everybody anyway, and people might not like our style, but go to Penguin Random House and be like, hey, Rowhouse over here is paying 40/40. I don't know why you can't do it, because you have a lot more money. So maybe you want to give me that deal. And I really do think that this is going to disrupt the industry in a way that opens the eyes of a lot of authors who have been negotiating blindly. Publishing Paid Me started it in 2020, started by 2 Black YA authors. I don't have their names on the tip of my tongue, but they did incredible work with this hashtag campaign called Publishing Paid Me, where we're not allowed to talk about what we make in our contracts. Like we, have non-disclosure agreements and all those, but they just went out at risk of getting in trouble and saying, this is how much I got paid for this book. This is how much my royalties are. This is what I got. And we saw the disparity, because I think over 1,200 authors participated. And when white authors were coming in that had smaller platforms and smaller sales, and they were making 10 times the advances of Black and brown authors, it was like, wow, this isn't our imagination. Like there's something really wrong here. So people like that paved the way for me to be able to do this and talk about it. I want to be a major player in this. I don't want to be an imprint. I want to stay independent, but I want to compete with the big ones. And I think we can.
I would love for you to shout out some of your authors.
We have Juliet Diaz, who left Hay House with me in solidarity, and she's coming out with The Altar Within. She is an indigenous Cubana witch, bruja, She writes about magic. She is magic. I love her. We have next on the roster for 2022 is Trudy LeBron. She's writing the Anti-Racist Business Book. She is a veteran in DEI, has worked in the corporate world and the nonprofit sector. Her book is going to be amazing. She's such a badass. Maisha T. Hill, who has the platform Check Your Privilege, has like over 700,000 followers on Instagram. She does beautiful work around healing. She's writing a book for white people. So she's going to, take them on the journey of their anti-racism journey, but also just healing the stuff that's going on, with them to allow them. It's called Heal Your Way Forward. So it's going to set them up for, generational healing and creating a world through, being a good ancestor. So Maisha T. Hill. Then next up is Brittany Carmona Holt. She is the lone white person on the roster for 2022, but she has an incredible social justice practice. She has a birth doula. She's writing a book called Tarot for Pregnancy. She's also my personal tarot card reader because I do that too. And she's an incredible human. Yeah, that book is going to sell like gangbusters. I can't wait for her. And she's one of our emerging authors. She has like really no platform to speak of, but her content is incredible. Christopher Rivas, who is an actor, he is on Mayim Bialik's show, Call Me Kat, and he's done a lot of other projects and, one-man plays, and he's just a beautiful human. He's writing a book called Brown Enough, and it's about his experience of being Dominican, Colombian, American, and trying to navigate Hollywood when people are telling him to calm his curls and make sure you don't get too dark this summer. And then last up for 2022 is Tina Strawn, writing Are We Here Yet? It's her Black queer woman's journey of, cannabis as medicine and losing love and leaving America for Jamaica and becoming a nomad and just finding a place where she can feel free in the world. And then 2023, two authors that I'm really excited to talk about, Ebony Janice Moore. She's writing a book called All the Black Girls Are Activists. And then we have Jermaine Fowler, who has a podcast and a platform called the Humanity Archive. And it's basically, what we've missed in history and how history has been whitewashed. And he's going to be bringing us through this journey of like telling stories about the past, like retelling, but also like how that can serve us now and into the future. And it's a beautiful group.
It's incredible. I'm excited for you. You must feel so happy to have all these people and all this energy around you.
I feel very blessed, and I've been in it for so long that this gratefully is my world where I get to just be with creative people all the time and kind people and people who, are doing big things. I recently welcomed in my older sister as our operations manager. She's like this incredibly talented administrator, and she's worked in nonprofit sector. She's worked for the state in social services. And she's always had like kind of like the thankless job, and where there was a lot of red tape and it was a job. It wasn't her life's work or something that she felt it wasn't a healthy environment for her. And bringing her in and seeing this world through her eyes, where she gets off a Zoom call with the authors and she cries because she's like, this is just so incredible. These people are the most incredible people I've ever met, is really cool. And I'm reminded of how lucky I am, because sometimes I get used to the magic that, get to live every day. So seeing her come into this and being able to be a part of something from the beginning and witness all the greatness of these people that are part of it is just, it's very, very neat thing.
I talk about this a lot, but I want in your words to tell us why it is so important for publishing to be more diverse.
Well, the work that our author Jermaine Fowler is doing on the Humanity Archive is evidence of how much our collective history has been robbed from us, because, history is told by those who win. And for too long, that's been white folks, but more problematic white supremacists, really. And we don't hear the true, real, whole stories of Black and brown people, of queer people, of disabled people, people who've contributed so much to so many movements, people who built the White House, who built this country, right? Who built this economy. We don't hear those stories, and we get a very narrow, inaccurate view. And what that does for all of us is it robs us of our humanity on a soul level, because we don't know who we are as a society, as a community. But even on a practical level, I mean, look what's happening right now with this pandemic. It's like we don't learn. We don't learn from a year ago. We definitely don't learn from 100 years ago. Like this has happened before and it's fixable. We're just not educated enough. And that's not a slight against, individual people, because I think that most people are very good. It's the system. So we need to remake the system, allow for more voices. Our motto at Rowhouse is we're raising the volume on voices that matter, people who are doing the work. We get a truer idea of who we are and how to fix things and how to move forward and, create a future that all of us can live in more safely. So I think that books start revolutions. I think they fuel revolutions. It's a way for people to get their messages out, to get your book on the shelves at Walmart. And there's going to be a lot of people that might not be in your circle picking it up and learning some from you. And I think that's a beautiful thing. So I think publishing has a big role to play and a big responsibility to play in making a better world for us by showing more voices, because it isn't diverse now, not enough.
So, how can people support Rowhouse as investors or donors?
We still have $400,000 to raise by the end of 2021. I feel confident we can do it. But like I said, it took 500 people to get us to $500,000. And one of those people invested 100,000. And it wasn't a rich person, but it was a person that had a lot of faith and, put a lot of stock in us. We need lots of people, and our investor opportunities start at $300. We worked really hard to make that happen. We are working with an equity crowdfunding portal. You can go to rowhousepublishing.com and find all the information, get our business plan, get our investor deck, get our catalog, just learn everything about us. We're very, very transparent. We're regulated by the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. Everything is tight and legal and beautiful. But yeah, it starts at $300 and we take investments all the way up to $100,000, and we need it. And this is truly an investment in human beings. Like this money is going to authors who are changing the world, and it's going to be a big deal. I won't say we're going to be like the Apple of publishing, but we might be like the Def Jam of publishing or the Rockefeller Records.
Well, before I let you go, are you still working with your nonprofit, Big Change Initiative?
I am the Little Readers Big Change. We put free books and author visits into schools virtually and in person. We work a lot with Title I schools. So those are schools that are in low income areas. And every single penny goes directly to the purchase of the books. All the authors are volunteers that go in and read for the kids. I volunteer my time. I do not take a salary as a founder. It's like direct giving. But yeah, that can be found at wheatpennypress.com. You can sponsor classrooms. You can give to our Brown Books Are Lit initiative, which funds Black and Brown creatives. We have a project going on with a Philadelphia spoken word artist named Lindo Yes right now, and he's amazing. So we're funding a lot of his projects. But yeah, wheatpennypress.com, give some money. Rowhousepublishing.com, give some money. And when our books come out, buy the books and share them with your friends, because they're medicine. They're medicine for this, culture.
Absolutely. That's amazing. I could seriously talk to you all day because you have so many interesting things. I feel like we could do like 5 days worth of podcasts together. The impact you're having on people's lives through all of the different aspects of what you're doing, especially with your new publishing house, it's such a much needed lens of diversity and inclusion. I really support everything that you do, and anything I can do to raise your voice, I would love to do. I think all of this makes you the super badass of the day. What do you think makes you a badass?
My community. I was raised up, like I said, neighbors took care of me, social workers took care of me, teachers took care of me. I didn't think I would be here. I didn't see a future for myself as an adolescent. And just people continued to show up for me my whole life. And I feel very lucky and blessed. And I just want to, put those blessings on someone else. So my community truly makes me fearless, and my faith. I have a saying above my door that says, courage is fear that has said its prayers. And it's true. Like I get up a little bit afraid every day. I say my prayers. I put faith in, my creator and my community. And it makes me feel, badass.
Well, I really, truly appreciate you taking time to talk with me today. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Lawyer Who Rocks. If you've enjoyed it and want to hear more from business badasses, make sure you hit the subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts. While you're at it, please give us a review. It really helps us grow the show. The Lawyer Who Rocks is produced and edited by Sean Fox and HMLG. A big thank you to Aaron Jones for our theme music, to Jeff Gilbert at Hairball Media for our graphics, and a huge thanks to my entire team at HMLG. If you need a lawyer who rocks, find us at hmlglaw.com. On the next episode,
so much of success in life and in business is just picking yourself back up, dusting yourself off, and going back to work. Because it's never going to work all the time for anybody. It doesn't matter what you do.
This podcast has been brought to you by HMLG. If you need lawyers who rock, visit us on our website at hmlglaw.com and be sure to follow us on social media platforms at HMLG Law. You can also follow me on Instagram at The Lawyer Who Rocks. Now it's plugged in.